Welcome to 15-minute battles, where we demolish history's biggest conflicts in just 15 minutes. We dive deep into the world's most pivotal military clashes, from the ancient battlefields of Marathon to the complex strategies of modern warfare. The leaders, who were the legendary generals and forgotten heroes commanding the troops, and finally, the outcomes. If you love history, military strategy, and learning something new quickly, you are in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another historic clash.
2 years after the Ides of March, the Roman world was on a knife's edge. The men who had plunged their daggers into Julius Caesar, the self-proclaimed liberators, Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus, had fled east. There, they gathered a massive army, 19 legions strong, claiming they were fighting to restore the Roman Republic. But hunting them down were two men hungry for vengeance and power: Mark Antony, Caesar's brilliant and loyal right-hand man, and Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and teenage heir. Together with a third partner, Lepidus, they formed the Second Triumvirate, the new masters of Rome. Their collision course was set for the plains of Philippi in northern Greece. This wasn't just another battle in another civil war. This was the final, desperate struggle for the soul of Rome. On one side stood the last champions of the old republic, men who believed no single individual should hold absolute power. On the other, the inheritors of Caesar's legacy, whose victory would cement the path toward autocracy. The hope of a free republic, already flickering weakly, was about to be either rekindled or extinguished forever in the mud of Macedonia. Brutus and Cassius had chosen their ground well. They occupied two hills overlooking the main road, the Via Egnatia, with their camps fortified and linked by a palisade. Their position was formidable. Behind them, the sea provided a secure supply line, allowing them to bring in food and resources with ease. In front of them, Antony and Octavian's army was camped on the low-lying plain, a much less favorable spot. Their own supply lines were stretched thin and vulnerable to attack. Cassius, the more experienced military mind of the two liberators, saw the situation clearly. All they had to do was wait. Starvation and disease would do their work, and the triumvir's army would simply waste away. It was a solid, risk-averse strategy, but they had underestimated their opponent. Mark Antony was not a man who liked to wait. He was a gambler, a master of the audacious and unexpected maneuver. South of Cassius's camp lay a vast, seemingly impassable marsh. Under the cover of the tall reeds and the mists rising from the wetlands, Antony set his men to a secret Herculean task. They began building a hidden causeway, a raised road of logs and earth, snaking its way through the swamp. His goal was audacious: to outflank Cassius, get behind his fortifications, and cut off his connection to the sea, turning the liberators' own strategy against them. For days, the work continued in secret, but eventually, scouts spotted the construction. Cassius realized the danger immediately. Antony was about to encircle him. He ordered his men to build a transverse wall to cut off Antony's new road, and sent troops down to intercept the work crews. What started as a skirmish quickly spiraled out of control. Seeing the engagement begin, Antony's veterans, spoiling for a fight after weeks of inaction, didn't wait for orders. They charged. They smashed through Cassius's surprised legions, overran his newly built wall, and stormed directly into his camp, looting and destroying everything in sight. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, a completely different drama was unfolding. Brutus's legions, seeing their comrades on the left engaged, launched their own furious, unauthorized assault. They crashed into the lines commanded by the young and sickly Octavian. Octavian's troops, less experienced and caught off guard by the sheer ferocity of the charge, crumbled and fled. Brutus's men were unstoppable. They swarmed into the triumvir's camp, searching for their hated rival. They even found and captured Octavian's personal litter, but the man himself was gone, having wisely fled just moments before. The first day of Philippi ended in a bizarre and confusing stalemate. On the right, Brutus had won a stunning victory. On the left, Cassius had suffered a catastrophic defeat. Now, the true tragedy of Philippi began, born from dust, chaos, and a fatal misunderstanding. From his hilltop position, Cassius looked out over the battlefield. A thick cloud of dust, kicked up by thousands of marching feet and cavalry, obscured his view. Through the haze, he saw his camp being overrun and his legions scattered. Then, he saw a body of horsemen riding hard towards his position. He couldn't tell who they were. Were they Antony's cavalry coming to finish him off? Had Brutus also been defeated? Believing all was lost, the man Cicero once called the last of the Romans fell into despair. He turned to his loyal freedman Pindurus and ordered him to strike the fatal blow. Cassius died believing his cause was doomed, that his friend Brutus was either dead or captured. The ultimate irony is that the horsemen he saw were not the enemy. They were messengers from Brutus, riding to tell him of their own spectacular victory on the other flank. They arrived minutes too late, only to find the lifeless body of their commander. With Cassius's death, the liberators lost not only a leader, but also their most skilled and pragmatic military strategist. The heart of their cause had been ripped out by a simple, tragic mistake. For the next 3 weeks, a tense quiet settled over the plains of Philippi. Brutus, now in sole command, was reluctant to risk another open battle. He wanted to return to Cassius's original plan of starving the enemy out. But his authority was shaky. His victorious legions were overconfident and spoiling for another fight, while the defeated legions of Cassius were demoralized and mutinous. Worse, Antony and Octavian's fleet had finally gained control of the sea, intercepting Brutus's supply convoys. Food was running low, and the chill of the coming winter was in the air. His officers urged him to fight. His soldiers demanded it. Cornered and with his army on the verge of disintegrating, Brutus reluctantly agreed. He drew up his legions for one last throw of the dice. The Second Battle of Philippi was nothing like the first. There were no clever maneuvers, no flanking attacks through marshes. It was a brutal, head-on slugfest. 80,000 men, the flower of Rome's legions, crashed into each other in a terrifying, grinding collision of shield against shield, sword against sword. For hours, the line buckled and swayed, but neither side would break. This was the infantry push, a contest of pure strength and endurance, and it was a type of warfare Antony's veterans excelled at. Slowly, relentlessly, their experience and grit began to tell. The Republican line began to waver. Then it broke. The collapse was sudden and total. The Liberators' army dissolved into a panicked mob, fleeing for their lives, cut down by the pursuing triumvirs. The dream of the Republic died right there. As his army melted away, Brutus fled into the nearby hills with a few of his remaining officers. His cause was lost, his army destroyed, his friends dead. He had fought for what he called liberty and virtue, but now he saw only defeat. Maintaining the composure of the Stoic philosopher he was, he knew what he had to do. According to the historian Plutarch, he lamented that virtue was merely a word and not a real thing, then asked a friend to hold his sword steady so he could run upon it. When Mark Antony found Brutus's body, in a remarkable act of respect for his fallen enemy, he took off his own priceless purple, general's cloak, and gently wrapped the corpse in it, ordering that he be given an honorable burial. The Battle of Philippi was the death knell of the Roman Republic. It eliminated the last organized political and military opposition to the triumvirs. The men who had fought to prevent one man from ruling Rome had been utterly crushed. Their leaders, Brutus and Cassius, would be remembered either as noble martyrs for freedom or as treacherous assassins, depending on who you asked. But after Philippi, their ideology was a ghost. The Roman world now belonged to Antony and Octavian. Their uneasy alliance would soon crumble, leading to one final civil war, but the outcome was already decided. From the ashes of the Republic, an empire would rise, and Rome would never again be governed by a senate, but by the will of a single, all-powerful emperor. The sun had set on the Republic, and a new dawn was breaking. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in more stories about the epic conflicts that shaped the ancient world, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the next one.
And that wraps up today's 15-minute battle. If you want to master more moments of military history in less time, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the next 15-minute battle.